Hello, everybody. What's going on? And welcome to a bonus episode edition of Buds and Blue Jays. No podcast. We are just going live for this one because there is big news happening around Major League Baseball right now. The MLB Draft Lottery is taking place. The ping pong balls are going to be bouncing. It's going on in any direction. And we thought this could be a big franchise-changing moment for the Toronto Blue Jays. So we're here. We're going to live react to these ping pong balls, see how things go, to see if the Toronto Blue Jays, for the first time in franchise history, can get that first overall pick. Jesse Burrell, Jesse Tricio here. Glad to have you. Jesse, did you do anything to try to put luck on our side today? Did you wear your lucky socks or your lucky underwear to try to get the first overall pick for the Blue Jays today?
Geez, were you in my room? How'd you know I have my lucky underwear on?
That's good. It's important. The Blue Jays as a franchise really haven't had a ton of luck. And I figured if we are able to get the first overall pick in this upcoming MLB draft, it'll be fantastic. A lot of stuff still to play. We've got the live stream on beside us. If you are watching in the stream, leave a comment, leave a video, follow along with us. Say what lucky item you are wearing to help the Blue Jays get the first overall pick. But to give you a primer of what's going to happen, and I'm sure a lot of you already know, as things stand currently, the Blue Jays have the fifth highest odds, 7.5%, to win the first overall pick in this MLB draft lottery. We've seen this is the third year now Major League Baseball has done this draft lottery. The first year, Pittsburgh won it as the favorite. They drafted Paul Skeens. Last year, we saw the Cleveland Guardians win it, who had about a 2% chance of winning, and they took Banzana, the kid out of Australia, to join their pick. And
Travis Bazzana.
Travis Bazzana, exactly. And with a lot of players, including the next Holiday brother, Ethan Holiday, as a potential number one overall pick, who could be better than Jackson Holiday, who we saw hit a home run off Kikuchi in spring and, hit well against us, at least in his brief stint with the Orioles. Could be a lot of fun, Jesse. How optimistic are you that we're going to end up with the first overall pick after today?
Well, if hearing that Cleveland will have that 2% chance, we're at 7, so you can't go wrong.
I'm no math guy, but that's like 4 times the odds, my guy. Like, that sounds fantastic. So,
definitely. And maybe when we're almost 50 years into our franchise history, finally get that first overall pick for the first time. It would be great too.
First overall pick, yes. I did do some research this morning to see what the Blue Jays' top picks were throughout the course of the history. And if you're watching on YouTube here, I have a little banner at the bottom that's going to show you. But the Blue Jays have never had the first overall pick in franchise history. We picked second 3 times, not since 1982. And Lloyd Moseby was probably the best pick out of that. The other 2 guys, Gary Harris and Augie Schmidt, I don't think I've heard those names in a long, long time. Some other names on here that we just have taken in the top 10. Most recently, we know we took Austin Martin, 5th overall when we had that pick, who we used in the Jose Barrios trade. Ricky Romero was a top 10 pick. Vernon Wells was a top 10 pick. It's very, very interesting here. Aside from Ethan Holiday, Jesse, have you done your college baseball prep, your high school prep, to learn much about these prospects?
There's a couple of names I've been intrigued, prior to even, before we knew we were going to be this high in the draft, about Jason Laviolette, a 6'6" outfielder, power. Mm-hmm. He was overshadowed by Montgomery this past season, who went, I believe, to Boston in last year's draft. I could be wrong on that, so don't come at me in the comments. But
sure.
He had an impressive year, having 27 home runs for Texas A&M, and he is someone Jason Strivenport can play center, can play all 3 outfield positions. Has power lefties at bat. Can't go wrong there. Then there's a couple of pitchers. Yes, I'm saying pitchers, even though we don't need, I don't want us to draft a pitcher, but
no such thing as a pitching prospect, Jesse. Come on.
No, that's true, but there's one. I'm drawing a blank of his name, but they were saying his stuff is probably the most electric of all the pitching prospects coming out of prep, and they say his changeup is almost as good as Pedro Martinez's changeup, one of those elite changeups, and saying that's his best pitch, and he's coming out with a slider that they're saying is MLA's possibly a Randy Johnson slider or a Chris Sale slider from that angle.
Okay, so from the sounds of things, getting in the top 3 should probably be paramount for the Toronto Blue Jays going into this MLB draft lottery. If you're watching on MLB.com or on MLB Network, you can kind of see what is going on with the draft lottery right now. They're just going through the players' reps and who is introducing our pick. Vernon Wells is the Blue Jays representative for the for the Blue Jays if we do get that top pick, who was, I believe, a 6th overall pick in his right. Maybe it was a 5th overall pick back in 1997, Vernon Wells, V-Dub. So that'd be very exciting if he can announce the pick. And the funny thing about this whole draft, which I'm going to find very comical if and when the Toronto Blue Jays do get the 1st overall pick here, is that Colton Cowser, the rookie outfielder for the Baltimore Orioles, is the one who's actually making this selection. And I think it would be so funny if he has to give Ethan Holiday, not give, but like present the chance to draft Ethan Holiday to the division rivals Toronto Blue Jays. I think that would be hilarious if that were to come.
Oh, it'd be icing on the cake. Just the solid, it'd be like, oh, the taste in his mouth probably saying the 1st overall pick goes to the Blue Jays, and having to present it to Vernon Wells and all that, that'd be just too good.
That'd be
fantastic. And then,
go ahead.
But then again, it'd be like, then the Jays should just trade for Jackson and get the brother team up the middle.
Sure. I mean, I don't think the Orioles are going to give up on Jackson Holiday. I think they'd be stupid to do so, at least at this point. But I like where your head's at, my guy. That would be a lot of fun. While we wait for the ping pong balls to start going and to see all these things happen as they continue to do their player introductions here, why don't we run up the simulator, the tankathon here, and see what we can do to get the Blue Jays into the top overall pick? And give me 2 seconds to load this up here. But 7.5, Jesse, I really do think I like our chances of
definitely
of getting the ads here. And once my computer loads a little better, we'll throw her on screen. And yeah. Okay, so I've got my tankathon loaded up here, right? Ready to go. And we'll hit the button and see what we can do in our draft simulator here. You ready? Want to give me a countdown? 1, 2, 3, go, and click. And it's loading slowly. And, the Chicago Cubs win the draft lottery in our simulation here, moving up 12 spots. And I think the Cubs only have a 0.4% chance of winning. In this simulation, Minnesota moves ahead of the Jays as well, and Toronto falls down to 6. I think if you've done the math, the Blue Jays have about a 60-ish% chance of finishing in the top 6 at least in this draft. But ultimately getting into that top 1, 2, or 3, I think would be best for the Toronto Blue Jays here.
Oh, definitely, especially with the caliber of
one more time. Yeah, and this one, the second simulator.
Yeah, definitely though. There is some good outfield prospects too. Some even though we have a stockpile of outfielder prospects right now in our system and that, but there's a couple intriguing ones too that may not have the hit tool of Jace Laviolette or Ethan Holiday and that, but they have tools where they are high average. They're projecting about 15 to 20 home runs, which for center fielders, which is pretty dang good. And but they say their best tools are their speed, and one of them, drawing blank, they're giving him an 80 grade speed, and say it could be. He has a hit ability where he can hit 15 and 20, but can steal probably around 40 to 50 bases in the pros.
Yeah, and it's really interesting when we figure out what pick the Blue Jays have and when we get to the draft system. They've never really targeted speed much as a franchise, but we did notice at this past trade deadline, trading for a Jonathan Clase, for example, and going guys would maybe have speed as one of their top tools. It's very interesting. Maybe the Blue Jays have a shift in development here, going for guys who have that skill set per se. It was kind of fascinating. And plus, too, Jesse, the Blue Jays have done a massive switch with their player development staff. They're getting a new farm director and all these things to develop these players better. So I think this player that we draft in this upcoming draft is going to be the first player that organization really gets their hands on and tries to mold a player. So it'd be very interesting to see what type of player they choose to go with, whether it be pitcher, position player, and all that stuff.
Oh no, definitely, because obviously when we drafted Trey Savage last draft, yes, I can say myself, you, and even our friend Riley had a very sour taste in our mouth when we drafted him and all that. But knowing that he's able to do what he can do and all that. Excuse me, my dog gets excited for this draft because
there's ping pong balls on television soon. Hello, Benny.
Exactly, he wants to catch it and all that. But yeah, definitely. Maybe he'll take all the ones that aren't the Jays to get the first overall pick. So maybe he'll bring the luck too.
I hope so. As long as he doesn't pick one of those other balls, you've got Benny trained. Go for Blue Jays blue, right? That's what we want here. It'll be
Exactly. And
it'll be
he's
very
named
exciting.
after a character from one of the best baseball movies in the Sandlot, so you can't go wrong there.
You're a good man. You're a man of class, Jesse. I love that. All right. Well, we got a bunch of you watching here. Glad that you all can join us for this event here. We are all very, very excited. It's going to be very anticlimactic when it's going to be the Marlins or the Rockies who end up getting the first overall pick here. What would you say would be worst case scenario for the Toronto Blue Jays following this draft lottery?
If he ends up, well, I think it'd be kind of cool if Ethan Holiday ends up with Colorado, just if it's not the Jays, just because where his dad spent so much time. Like, I feel like that'd be a kind of like sort kind of cool thing. But worst case scenario is that like any of our like rivals or who are similar like skill sets of teams that we probably, if we have successes at the winter meetings, will be facing trying to get into the wild card. If any of them get it, and they are now stockpile. Like I know Texas has a lot of good young position players, and so like I really don't want Texas to get it. Pretty much any American League team, I really don't want ahead of us.
Yeah, the good news is like a lot of the teams that have similar picks or range of picks to the Toronto Blue Jays aren't really in our division. Like Tampa Bay and Boston are the next closest. They have about 1.2 to 1.5% chance of getting this pick. Seems unlikely. And with Oakland and the White Sox not eligible to get it here, like the only other American League teams are the Texas Rangers or the LA Angels. Or other than that, it seems like whatever team is going to get the first pick is going to go to the National League if it is not the Toronto Blue Jays. Obviously, without being said, going up higher is better. And Colton Cowser is about to take the mic here, so I'm going to see what he has to say here. Yeah, as we get started, we're officially doing the picks here. So 18 on the clock goes to the D-backs. So the Arizona Diamondbacks did not win the draft lottery, and now we're getting started. I like how we're coming down from 18 all the way to number 1 here. And we will see. The Blue Jays are still in the running of the 18th pick. So exciting. It's happening.
Yeah. And if I'm correct, the Diamondbacks were pretty low too. Yeah, they're 16th odd, so they dropped 2 spots. So that's pretty. So maybe this will work for us.
So 17th is the Chicago Cubs, and looking at the projected rankings, they were projected 16th. So it seems like the Seattle Mariners have actually moved up. Now, I'm not exactly certain how high you can go, but it seems like Seattle has got a bunch and is going to move up at least a little bit in this draft.
Yeah, like if I'm correct, like I don't know if it's similar to like the NHL or other ones, but like I believe like the max you can move up is like 7 spots.
Right, and St. Louis as well just moved up, as well as Minnesota's going 16. Boston Red Sox down to 15. And they were projected 13. So there are some teams at the back end here that seem to be moving up. I don't know how many balls they pick or what this means. Maybe the top of the order will remain pretty stagnant. We will see. 14th is next.
Yeah, definitely. Like right now, it's looking good. Like we haven't been called out, so we haven't fallen from our spot. So staying at 5, the only way is up, and that's the best way to get it.
That's right. Tampa Bay at 14, so no one in our division has won the draft lottery. And for
so we can end up with a better pick than them, unless there's some surprises like Arjun and all, like the Jays did the 1 year. Or like, but again, if you look at when we drafted Austin Martin, he was projected to be the number 1 guy, but fell because of the I think the bonus pool, and I think the Pirates didn't want to pay the bonus pool that year for Austin Martin, so they took Henry Davis.
Yeah, and the draft is a crapshoot with all this bonus pools and like international money. You're not necessarily signing the best player; you're signing the one for international bonus pool reasons and signability, et cetera, et cetera. And plus, with college having these new NIL deals now, there's actually been buzz that more players will choose to go to college instead of going pro, which could affect some things in the MLB draft as well. Quick update here, Jesse. The Giants get 13, the Rangers get 12, Oakland and the White Sox, who both can't go top 10, I believe, get 11, and they're doing the 10th overall pick now, which I believe will be the Chicago White Sox, which indeed it is. So we are now into the top 10, Jesse. The Blue Jays are going for the top 10 pick guaranteed no matter what. We always thought that was likely. It does seem like Seattle and St. Louis are going to be quite big winners here. They moved up quite a bit. Number 9 is next. Is the Cincinnati Reds.
Okay, so they're not getting top 5 pick back-to-back years, which is great.
Yep. Seattle and St. Louis have seemed to move into the top 8, which makes me nervous that the Blue Jays ended up going to number 1. We'll see for 8th overall here.
Yep.
Oh no!
The Jays.
The Jays are 8. Oh
okay.
No!
We fell 2. We fell 2 spots.
No,
but again, too, they're saying this draft is pretty deep, so.
Oh no! Pain
is suffering. My bet now is Colorado gets it. Just then we can call it rigged because of his dad.
The 8th overall pick, that kills. I wanted the first pick so bad.
But we can definitely hey, at least we didn't fall too far. It's only a few spots, but to be optimistic and
just fell out of the top 5, so that's really bad for them.
Yeah, they had the second best odds.
That sucks. I know the Blue Jays, last time they picked 8th, I think the only time in franchise history, they took third baseman Felipe Lopez, who was good, but he wasn't great. Like, he didn't have the career you'd kind of hope a top 10 overall pick would have. I'm just going to quickly look up top MLB picks from the 8th spot in the draft, but I did not want us to fall this much. This hurts.
It does. It's definitely a little salt in the wound for this season we've had, but there's still there always could be those surprise picks that fall. Like I believe Montgomery last year, Caglione, a lot of top 5 prospects will fall, depending on even how their seasons are. So there is always hope and all that. And it's not like in the NHL where they'll be in this. It's not like they'll be in the NHL this next year, which is so we really won't be seeing these guys possibly till 2027 at the earliest to maybe 2030, depending on some of them.
Just looking at some notable 8th overall picks. Francisco Lindor was picked 8th overall by Cleveland in 2011. So there's that. I remember Gordon Beckham, who didn't have a great career, but he was the number 1 overall prospect in baseball, was drafted 8th overall. Mark Appel, who some people think is one of the biggest busts in MLB history, was taken at that spot. So I don't know, man. I guess we can say goodbye to Ethan Holiday being a Blue Jay. That's tough, and some of those other ones. Our friends at the Coach's Sons podcast here. International League All-Star Felipe Lopez. I know you boys have you've watched some of that league and stuff, and so you can't discredit. I love Felipe Lopez as a kid growing up, but doesn't move the needle for me.
No, it definitely doesn't. But it's the story of the Jays' offseason so far, being the bridesmaid and not quite getting there.
Jesse, I blame you. Didn't wear the right underwear today. I blame you for all this. This We've got a commercial break going on. Yeah, you did. We've got a commercial break going on in the MLB draft, so we'll stick with you here live for the rest of the draft. I guess, yeah, you and I were both rooting for Colorado, right, to get this top overall pick?
Oh, yeah, definitely. As long as it's not in the American League, I'm happy.
Yes, and looking at the teams that are still available, it does seem like Seattle's getting a bump. Seattle and St. Louis have both moved into the top 5. I wonder if one of them got the top overall pick here.
That'd be
a draft, because that would be wild.
It would definitely be shocking, and it'd be convenient when both teams one is moving on from their third baseman, 2, the other one is in need and possibly shopping their shortstop too. So convenient, I say.
So the Angels and Mariners are the only American League teams left who could get a top pick here. I know Chris from the Coach's Sons, he will love if Seattle can get that number 1 overall pick for a team that's had one playoff appearance in the past forever, and it was against our Blue Jays. It's kind of painful.
Yeah, and they beat us, unfortunately.
Yes,
but we won't go back to those ones.
So Pittsburgh.
The day you became a meme.
That's right. If you haven't seen it, we'll tweet it out. It's very wild. So Pittsburgh Pirates take the number 6 seed, which is right where they were projected to go to. We're into the top 5. So here we are with the 5th overall pick. Is the St. Louis Cardinals. So they do not win the 1st overall pick here, but they get a big jump moving into the top 5 in this MLB draft from 13 to 5. So 4 teams left. Colorado, Angels, right. Washington, and Seattle. Let's see where we go. Colorado Rockies finished with the 4th pick, so it doesn't seem like Ethan Holiday is going to go there either, which means the Angels, Nationals, or Mariners are going to get the 1st overall pick in this MLB draft, which absolutely bananas.
2 division rivals, and be kind of convenient that they get first. If the Angels get the 1st overall pick, is after the year after they lose Ohtani, and then it'd be the cornerstone after Trout if they ever let him move.
So the Seattle Mariners do not get the 1st overall, but they move up from 15 all the way into the top 3. Massive win for Seattle and for the Mariners franchise. And we're down to the top 2. It's either going to be the Washington Nationals or it's going to be the LA Angels who win the draft lottery and get the 1st overall pick. The Nationals are kind of a team that's on the rise, right? They could be interesting if they...
Yeah, they got a young core and all that, and possibly if they get this pick, maybe they'll move on from C.J. Abrams with all the stuff that happened in the end of the season with deciding to go to the casino instead of being with his team and past curfew. So they could do that. And it's also kind of funny if you think about it. The 2 super deals that were signed the past 2 offseasons are the 2 top teams. Convenient.
Like what do you mean? Like with...
Well, last year, Ohtani left the Angels.
Right.
And signed a $700 million deal. Then this year, the Nationals, who had Soto in the past, are now could be the 1-2 picks. So the 2 richest players, former teams, are the top team.
Right. So the Angels just got 2nd, which means the Washington Nationals have won the MLB draft lottery, and they will get the 1st overall pick. Wasn't Bryce Harper a number 1 overall pick for them? Wasn't Steven Strasburg a number 1 overall pick for them? I feel like the Washington Nationals as a franchise have really done well with this number 1 overall pick, and they will get it in this draft. Good for them.
And it kind of hurts. It kind of hurts for those Expo fans to be the former Expos, and it's like now we get these talents.
I was kind of rooting for the Angels a little bit, just because the Angels in the past have really taken their prospects and just shot them right up to the major leagues. So I was kind of hoping that that could do it. But they'll get the 2nd overall pick. They'll get a good player who will be on our radar for a while. Damn. 8th for the Blue Jays. That sucks. But,
8 not so great.
Yeah, it was never going to be easy for us. And I guess we'll have to wait another year to see if the Blue Jays can finally get that top pick. Jesse, while we still have you here, there's been a lot of Blue Jays news, and obviously we'll touch about it on our podcast that we're going to have later this week. Oh, my God. Breaking news.
Ooh.
Max Fried and the Yankees earn an agreement on an 8-year deal. $218 million pending physical. It's the largest guaranteed deal in history for a left-handed pitcher. So, Jesse, man, we're crossing off Max Fried off our list.
And there was a report earlier today that the Jays and Red Sox were close to an agreement with him. So,
yeah, there was rumors that teams were going up to as high as 7 years, and I thought, the Blue Jays absolutely would probably go to 7 years. And I guess the Yankees, after losing out on Juan Soto, they go for Max Fried for a big contract instead. Honestly, I think I kind of like this for our Blue Jays. I understand Max Fried has been good, right? But I've voiced my concern before about these soft contact guys, and when it goes bad, it really goes bad quickly. And the Blue Jays are littered with right-handed hitters who could probably tee off on this lefty. I bet we hit Max Fried. Well, I say that. And then Max Fried shut us down for 8 innings and over 3 hits when we faced him this season. So we will see. But
that's true. Okay. But I was reading something too about the other Jays pitching target in Corbin Burns. When asked about the Blue Jays and that, they were saying he had a smirk. So maybe that was a sign that I could be coming close.
Yeah, there was a report earlier too that Corbin Burns just didn't want to be a Blue Jay, but maybe money changes his mind. And you got to take all these reports you hear with a grain of salt. There's a lot of stuff going around there. We will talk about all of this and all the news, including the Jimmy Garcia signing that the Blue Jays just did. It's the first major transaction we've made this offseason, including Jordan Romano is gone, who's signing with the Phillies. We'll touch on that. We'll talk about Juan Soto and what this means for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. We'll talk about what the 8th overall pick means for the Toronto Blue Jays going forward. Not the best day. I mean, a big day of emotions, I suppose, for the Blue Jays. Getting Jimmy Garcia back, falling to 8th overall in the MLB draft is something.
Yeah, was a quick thing on Jimmy Garcia. At least now we have a pre-made late show for him.
I didn't even think of that. You are absolutely right. We have the light show. That's fire. I'm going to tweet that out at some point. That is amazing. But that is nice.
So,
less than 30
that was the first thing that literally came to my mind when we signed. I'm like, well, it looks like it's the same price we did in pay Romano, but at least we have a pre-made late show, so they don't have to work too hard now.
The ops team at the Rogers Center, the people who make the light show, have got to be very happy about that Jimmy Garcia signing. So we're going to talk about all of that as we get into our podcast. Stay tuned. We'll be live probably on Thursday afternoon to discuss all that, and if there is any more breaking news between now and then. But Jesse, any final thoughts here before we wrap up and talk about the MLB draft lottery?
Well, with the winter meetings going, definitely a lot of newsworthy stuff going on. Hoping that the Jays are the news in the news for the positive, not for the negative, like it's been lately. And maybe 8 will be great for us, and just hopefully there could be some other names that aren't even on this top 10 pre-draft prospect pool that'll come out and over, and or if some of these top ones fall to us, like this may be a lottery for the draft pick, but the draft is always a lottery too, because Austin Martin fell to us, Manoah fell to us, so
yeah,
like these are those are
Gunnar Henderson was a second round pick, so we never know, right?
Exactly, and there's so many rounds for the draft. Yes, it's not like the 40 rounds like it used to be, but like still 20 rounds, there is some diamonds in the rough, and like we even have some prospects that were like little picks like Alan Roden and stuff like that that are starting to make it. So it could be interesting to see.
Yeah. Chuck, we are with you. Max Fried off the board now. It's Corbin Burns, or my personal choice is Roki Sasaki, but reports seem like that's unlikely too. So we got to do something, man, because I cannot live with another offseason of Justin Turner, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, and Kevin Kiermaier, for God's sake. So yes, it's at this point, it's looking like it's Corbin Burns or bust for the Toronto Blue Jays rotation.
Oh, definitely is, and like if it wasn't now, I would say the freeing Ross Atkins and Shapiro Caesar game look mighty warm right now, and the callers are getting tight because if they fail here,
yeah,
I feel like if they fail, the roster will be the roster fans will be crickets again in the Rogers Center with all those renovations.
At some point, too, we got to actually explore the idea of maybe the Blue Jays should just trade everyone, sell it down. But we're not going to do that today. Maybe we'll discuss that on Thursday as we get into our recent episode. Jesse, before we get off here, the MLB Rule 5 draft is tomorrow. Are the Blue Jays going to sign anyone, or are we going to lose anyone out of our system in the Rule 5 draft?
I'm not too sure on what players we have that are exposed, and I haven't really looked at any of the other farm system, but if we do, hopefully
Kendrys Rojas, like names like that.
Maybe Palmajani, because he was like rumored at the beginning of this year to be MLB ready. Rojas had a solid year, if I'm correct, with Vancouver. So if I'm correct, and it should hopefully not. But if we do pick someone, maybe it'll be the magic of Joe Biagini, back in 2016.
Sure. And who was the one big Rule 5 pick that the Blue Jays had in major history? There was one that was really good for us. God, I can't believe I'm forgetting this. Got to Google it really.
I'm trying to think now. I know Romano was one, then we got him back, and then from the Rangers.
Yeah, Elvis Luciano was one.
Yep.
Jason Dubois, Dwayne Wise. Kelly Gruber, that's the one. Kelly Gruber was a Rule 5 pick. Yes.
Yeah, and the man who should have had the triple play.
Yes. And then Willie Upshaw was a Rule 5 pick too, but that was in the Blue Jays' inaugural season in 1977. So we don't see much Rule 5 action anymore, so maybe we won't tomorrow. But Jesse, we got to go. We got to get out of here. I got stuff to do. You've got food to eat, children to raise. Do you have a final thought about the 8th overall pick here before we run?
Uh, it sucks that it isn't the top 5 like where we were projected, but maybe Magic will come in the grade 8 spot.
I'm rooting for you, my guy. We will be back on Thursday. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Record numbers for the MLB Draft live stream, but I just wish we had more powerful things or better things to celebrate here. But thank you all for watching. Be on the lookout for our new episode dropping on Thursday. And obviously, if there is more major, intense breaking news, we'll be here to react to it. For Jesse Tricio, I'm Jesse Burrell. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you guys later this week.
Thanks, guys.